Jake here with Old Town Yoga Studio, and I'm here with Cummings. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So we are just sitting here. It's just a few minutes before teacher training starts, and we thought that we would chat for a little bit.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, how long have we been working together?
That's a trick question.
I know. Do you?
I remember. I don't remember. I remember having you as a student. It's got to be 111 years ago.
Long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been about 10 years since I was in that first pranayama workshop.
Was it really?
It's got to be close to that. Close.
Okay. So 110, give or take 100. Okay.
Yeah. So we've been working together for about 6 years. This is the sixth teacher training. Time flies when you're having fun.
It sure does.
So we're going to just run through a few questions.
Sure.
Ready to go?
Absolutely.
All right. First question is, a couple questions about Viniyoga specifically.
Okay.
So, like other styles of yoga, you've got Kundalini yoga, you've got Ashtanga yoga, you've got Vinyasa yoga. It's separate words, right? The style and then the word yoga following it.
Right.
And we have Viniyoga, which people assume is the same thing. They think Vini is the first word, yoga is the second word, but in fact it's one word.
It is.
What's the deal with that? What's up with that?
What's up with that? What's up with that?
What's the word?
What's up with it? What does the word Viniyoga mean? Okay, that's a question I can answer. So the word Viniyoga, and you're correct, it's one word. Mm-hmm. It's not, Vini plus yoga.
It's not a pet peeve.
No, it's not my cousin Vinny or my uncle Vinny. It is the name of a methodology of practice, but as well, the word goes back. Before there was a style of practice called Viniyoga, there was the word Viniyoga, and the word Viniyoga basically means something along the lines of ascertaining what is appropriate in a given context and doing what's appropriate in a given context. So it's deceptive to Westerners because we hear the word yoga and we think that means going to the gym and doing a yoga class or going to the studio doing yoga. But the word yoga is actually inside that larger word. When it's added to the prefixes E and E, it becomes one longer word that's applied to many things besides yoga practice. So basically, let's say it's cold outside and you decide to put a sweater on. That's the Viniyoga of dressing. Mm-hmm. Or if you choose to communicate one way with your boss and you choose to communicate a different way with a close friend, that could be considered the Viniyoga of communication. So it's basically, given the context, you try and figure out what's going on and do the right thing. Not right in a moral sense, but right in the appropriate sense of the word.
Mm-hmm. And is there, who assigned that word to a specific yoga practice?
Okay, yeah, so fast forward to modern Western times, and we have brands, right? Yeah. We have a business of yoga and a marketplace of yoga, and brands of yoga. And the brands are helpful to differentiate different methodologies of practice. And so the word Viniyoga was assigned to the teachings of a man named T.K. Desikachar as transmitted by one of his senior students, and that's my teacher, Gary Krasso. So it's basically the title given to the methodology of practice that's taught by him and all of his students.
And how long have you been working with Gary?
Gosh, another time question. I'm not good with those. A long time. A lot longer than I've known you.
Well, I think you partially answered my next question in terms of, I guess, the definition of Viniyoga, the yoga practice itself. And I guess a lot of that is applying the practice appropriately to a person's needs. Can you elaborate a little bit more on, because people ask me that question a lot, and I know that Viniyoga, it's a pretty deep lineage. There's a lot of aspects to it, given that you want to, adapt the practice to the individual. So it's not as easy to describe as some forms of yoga. So I struggle a little bit with that. So maybe you, given that you are, much more experienced than many, maybe chat a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. It's a good question. So.
Do you get that question a lot?
I do. I mean, I get people confused confusing it with Vinyasa yoga.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So, and that's something you want to clear up with people, just so that they end up in the right place at the right time, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the big umbrella, the kind of the marquee lit up takeaway about Viniyoga is that it really is a style of practice that embraces the individual and embraces individuality. And that's seen in a lot of all different classes that you take. They're all different teachers, they take all different approaches, but something across the board is you'll see and feel as a student, I think, an invitation to individuality, which I really appreciate about it. But just to get down to some nuts and bolts of, okay, so what's the class going to be like? I think in general, the first thing is a kind of a parenthetical statement about any yoga class is read the class description. See what it says about what it's offering. Because if you want a stronger workout versus if you want to meditate, you want to sort that out ahead of time. And Viniyoga offers the full range of teachings. It offers the full range from movement through breath, through chanting, through meditation to personal ritual. So the whole spectrum is covered in the lineage. As you said, it's a deep lineage. But in a yoga class that you're going to at a gym or at a studio, there will be movement. And there are a few things that differentiate your experience of the movement. And one of the big ones, really the primary one, has to do with the breath. So Viniyoga is a style of practice that really emphasizes the primacy of the breath. And it's not merely that you happen to be inhaling as you're raising your arms. Really the viewpoint of this lineage is that the breath is the very origin of the movement. The movement originates from the source of the breath, and the breath and the movement are intimately linked from beginning to end. So there'll be a lot of focus on the breath, there'll be slower movement combined with deep breathing, which we know now is very, very helpful in a lot of ways for people. So that'll be the experience of the breath, a lot of focus on the breath, subtle spinal movement with the breath, and really the idea that the breath is the meat and potatoes of the asana practice. It's not the body, what the body's doing. It's really more the attention on the breath and what the breath is doing on the inside. It's a beautiful way to practice if you want to try it. So that's breath. And then another thing, we have this sort of spectrum among the commonly practiced traditions in the West of how much hold of postures is there versus how much movement is there. At one end you have sort of like you hold it for a long time, like you can think of Iyengar yoga or yin yoga. At the other end of the spectrum you have the flow styles, where it's pretty much non-stop movement.
Right, like so Iyengar yoga is like it's all holds pretty much all the time. Flow is like all movement and very little holds.
Yeah.
Viniyoga kind of rests kind of in the middle in terms of a balance of the two.
Exactly, that's what I was just going to say. Viniyoga is more or less in the middle. That we have a kind of a technology or a methodology of combining movement into and out of postures with held postures. So for example, you might move into a forward bend 6 times, come in and out 6 times, and then stay down for 6 breaths and experience the depth of the posture. So there are times when we just do hold, where you don't move in and out, you just hold the posture, and then there are other times when you just move and you don't hold the posture. And then we do occasionally create shorter flows. So in like a vinyasa flow style class, you might have 15 elements all linked together, where you're just flowing from one to the next. In a Viniyoga practice, there might be some linked postures, but it'll usually be a smaller chunk. It'll be maybe 5 or 6 that you're linking together. So experientially, that's what you'll receive from the movement versus held posture end of things. And then I think the other big one that does stem from what we were talking about, the definition of the word Viniyoga, is the wide array of adaptation that's offered. And if you're new to yoga, this won't register as much as being different. But if you're very familiar with yoga and you have an idea of sort of the classic form of the posture, this will open a big window for you into the possibility of adaptation of form of postures. And most Viniyoga educated instructors, including the ones that are training, we spend a lot of time on this, they will have a large toolkit of adaptations. And again, the idea is that, and this is an ancient idea, the practice is there to serve the individual, not the other way around. So the question in the instructor's mind is always, what's going on here in this room? What's going on in the culture? What's going on in the season? What's going on in the time of day? What's going on in this individual spot? And how can I create a practice that's going to open that up? How can I create a practice that's going to foster self-understanding? It's going to foster self-awareness and growth, and given this context. And this is why it's difficult to pin down as a style. We don't have a set series of poses, we do it in a set way. There's a lot of, again, flexibility, and it really is, I'll just finish with this on this question, it really is a practice for people who want to celebrate their individuality through their yoga.
Wow, that's good stuff.
It is good stuff,
yeah.
I think. I'm biased, of course, but...
Now, as a person who has to write descriptions and post them on a website, can you distill that down to like 3 sentences?
Bless you.
Is that possible? What would you require if you were going to write a description of video that would be posted on a description page for a class?
Well, let me put this back at you now and say, again, what's the context? What's the intention of the class?
Well, it's a group class. It's an all levels class. That's on the schedule, available for anybody to come to, like every other class that we have. So we have Vinyasa, we have other styles of yoga, and we have Viniyoga on our schedule as well.
Yeah.
And we have a description. I'm looking for a more concise, a clear and concise description. And that, again, that's part of the challenge with Viniyoga is it's hard to just nail down and boil it down to something very simple.
Well, I think that you could certainly highlight the nuts and bolts.
Like the breath.
Yeah, exactly.
Repetition and stay.
Yeah.
Adaptation.
Yeah.
Just those words, that's it.
Yeah. Just those words.
Like 4 words.
Yeah, it'd be like a hiker, they can figure it out. Do you want to know more about what we mean? Show up. Yeah, I've used phrases like classes are tailored to suit the needs of the class, or phrases like that. And you do want to mention also that the movement will be a combination of movement into and out, or repetition of postures and held postures. You want to mention that. And also some sense, the other thing that I didn't mention when I was talking about the differentiating factors in yoga is that if you're in an environment where you have levels, people associate that with the difficulty of postures.
Sure.
And so, Viniyoga, we really, because the emphasis is the breath and the emphasis is on self-awareness and spinal health, we really don't emphasize the extreme contortionist postures. It doesn't mean that they can't be, again, if they are contextually relevant to a group, then of course they're offered. But if you have classes that are really difficult asana classes and classes that are at the other end that are really very, very simple classes, you might want to rate this kind of in the middle, sort of like moderately challenging postures, just to give people a sense of the amount of challenge their bodies can expect.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that definitely helps. I'm going to go and kind of work